At some point, you've probably asked yourself the question, what are the best weapons in Destiny 2 and why? And there are a lot of different ways you can answer this question, from the usage to the number of kills to how prevalent it is in higher level, how easy is the weapon to get, there are stat advantages. There are so many ways to answer this question. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the actual usage statistics of a lot of weapons in the game. Because if certain weapons are being used more than anything else, it tells a story. The first website we're going to take a look at is going to be DestinyTracker.com. Among other things, you can actually track the amount of usage of a lot of these weapons. As you can see, I'm sorting by kills, quick play PvP, and you can see a lot of these weapons are going to be pretty obvious to you. You probably see them a lot. And the fact that Ace of Spades has around 4% of all PvP kills is quite impressive. But more than their actual number of kills, more than their actual usage, there's a story to be told here. Something like Ace of Spades or Felwinter's Lie are very easy weapons to get. They've been out for a very long time with very clear stat advantages from the exotic archive very cheaply. So obviously they're going to be high up on the list, and you can also see some different disproportional numbers. For example, Vex Mythoclast is hard to get, so the usage compared to the actual kills is going to be low, whereas something like Fracticist actually has higher usage and lower kills. And this doesn't mean the Fracticist is bad, it's actually just more common and people are getting it constantly. Another thing to look at is something like the Palindrome Adept. It's higher than the regular Palindrome. Why? Because it's been out for many seasons, and more people have this weapon. Furthermore, let's go ahead and take a look at the PvE side of things. If you switch over to PvE, you're gonna again see a lot of weapons that are like, yeah, this is PvP weapons. Fusion rifles for Vex, for No Composure, Cartesian, particle deconstruction being really strong. Something that I'm a bit surprised at is that the Fatebringer Time Lost is above Fatebringer, but I guess, again, the Vaulted Glass has been out for enough seasons that the Time Lost has gained ground. And you're gonna see weapons that actually have hung around for the ages. Something like Wither Horde. Even though there are no grenade launcher boosts this season, it is still so high up on the list. This is a weapon that's clearly gonna last. Whereas these fusion rifles, even though I still think they're gonna be good next season, are not gonna be nearly as good without particle deconstruction. Another example is Chroma Rush. Although I don't personally like it, it's still very high up. It's been a number of seasons since it came out. Moving on to the next website, we have GuardianGG. Most people use this weapon to track their stats and their builds for different trial stuff. I really like their ability to show you what kind of meta we're in. For example, obviously we have the kinetic and energy list, just like we had on the previous website, but you also see categories of weapons. And you can see very clearly we are in a hand cannon shotgun meta by a pretty significant margin. This is very clearly way above all the other ones. We have pulse rifles as a secondary for primaries, and then the rest of the pack as people like to use them. And this makes sense. If you've ever played Crucible, you've probably seen 1,000 people using Ace of Spades plus Felwinter's Lie. And for the PvE side of things, for the categories of weapons, you can see things like fusion rifles, which again makes sense. Particle deconstruction is insane. You see things like grenade launchers, because probably Wither Horde. And then in this pack here, we have auto rifles, hand cannons, and bows. Bows are obviously high because of overload bows, and raids, there's overload champions. Auto rifles are nice because a lot of people still like Chroma Rush. I personally love the 600 RPMs. And something that still to this day people comment is they don't believe hand cannons are nearly as good as I say they are. But right here, very clearly, you can see hand cannons being really high up in the meta when it comes to primaries, and they do not have specific artifact mods. And furthermore, I also wanted to talk about swords, Falling Guillotine, Lament being a very powerful set of weapons, even to this day, even after people are like, hey, they nerfed them so hard, they're not good anymore, they still have a very high usage. And the final website I wanted to talk about is going to be Charlemagne, which is actually a Discord bot. You can actually invite it to your Discord server, and you can use commands like /meta PvP, /meta PvE, and it will tell you what's going on in the current week. Or at least I believe this is going to be weekly. This one is going to be the most confusing because apparently the most used kinetic primary in PvE is going to be Biting Winds, which if you don't know is a bow. And I know there's overload bows right now, but the most used kinetic? That seems a bit sus to me. But furthermore, again, you can see swords here, Falling Guillotine, Lament, Ascendancy is really common, and it kind of tells a story of what's going on in the meta. Even though that swords got nerfed and the highest level people are using swords less often, not nearly as often as before, it doesn't mean it's unusable, and very clearly people still like using them. So in conclusion, there's a lot of data. There's a lot of interpretation, Different creators, different data sets, different websites will all tell you different things. It's up to you to interpret the data how you want to interpret it. If you like auto rifles more than hand cannons, even if we're in a hand cannon meta, you should use auto rifles because likely you'll perform better with auto rifles, and more so, you'll have more fun with it. I have not answered the one question that I stated at the beginning of the video, and I've probably raised 10 other questions on top of that. You're welcome. That's the end of it. I hope you guys did enjoy. My name's Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.